Okay, so this lesson is on pronouns, and we're going to focus on personal and possessive pronouns in this lesson. So we're going to start with personal pronouns. A pronoun, all pronouns, a pronoun is a word that takes the place of one or more nouns and the words that describe those nouns, so any adjectives. For example, Dana has a favorite folk tale. She tells it to the others. So in this, right, she is replacing Dana and it is replacing favorite folk tale. Well, a favorite folk tale. In particular, tale. Tale is the noun that the pronoun is replacing, so it has to match tail, but it is technically replacing everything that modifies tail as well. Personal pronouns are pronouns that refer to people or things, such as Dana or the tale. They can refer to the person who's speaking. So, for example, I like chocolate. In the sentence, I am the one doing the talking or the writing, right? And I'm focusing on myself, okay? So, there's just me in the sentence. I'm talking about me, and so it's first person, okay? It can also refer to the person who's being spoken to. So when I say I like chocolate, I am talking to somebody, not myself. And so if I then talk to that person directly and ask them about themselves, it would become you, right? Do you like chocolate? There's now two of us, right? I like chocolate. And now I'm turning to you and say, do you like chocolate? So I'm speaking, I'm asking you, there's one, two, second person. So whenever we use you, we call it second person. When we say I, it's first person because I'm talking about me. If I say you, I'm talking about you. So I'm talking about the two of us, right? It's me and you, so it's second person. And then I could be talking to you about somebody or someone else. So it could be a person or thing being spoken about. I'm speaking to you about him or it. He likes it. In this case, we now have at least three of us, right? I'm speaking to you about him. I say he likes it. And so third person, okay? And that is really where first, second, third person comes from. Okay, you can simply memorize the pronouns. That's typically what we do early on. But I do think sometimes it helps to understand why we talk about I being first person, you being second person, and he or it being third person. There is a reason. So this is the chart. It's in your notes. Okay, so the person who's speaking when we refer to ourselves, okay, it's first person. Those pronouns are I if it's singular. And if it's plural, we, so includes myself and others, it's still about me, the person speaking. I'm just including others, and that becomes we. If I am the object of a preposition or a verb, right, like a direct or an indirect object, then I use me or us, depending on if it's just myself or it's me with others, okay? Then that would be us. So I for subject, me for object. We for subject, us for object. Second person's a little simpler, more simple, because it's just you, okay? It doesn't matter if it's singular, plural, subject, object, you is just you. And then if it's the person or thing being spoken about and it's third person, our subject forms are he, she, and it, depending on if the singular is male or female or neutral. The object form is him, her, or it. And then if it's plural, we refer to them as they or them. They for subject, them for object. Okay, so every pronoun has an antecedent because the antecedent is the noun or group of words the pronoun is referring to, is replacing in the sentence. So by definition, pronouns replace nouns. The noun it's replacing is known as its antecedent. So an example, the goddess Athena is from Greek myths. She weaves skillfully. So in this sentence, right, she is our personal pronoun. It's referring to the goddess Athena. Athena being the antecedent, okay, it's replacing the whole thing. The goddess Athena but Athena is the noun. So she has to match Athena. I couldn't say he or they because that doesn't work. Athena is a Greek goddess. She's a woman, a singular woman. So our pronoun must match the noun it is replacing. And while it's replacing all the adjectives, the noun is what drives that. So Athena is the most important, is the antecedent, the important noun. Okay, so when you use a pronoun, right, you must be sure it refers to the antecedent clearly. And this is an area where I find students typically need to work on. So the myth of Arachne is amusing. I enjoyed it. This is good. It is clearly referring to myth. However, a poor use of a pronoun, Arachne competes against Athena. She weaves skillfully. Well, if you know anything about the myth of Arachne and Athena, you know that both Arachne and Athena are women. Okay, Athena being a goddess, Arachne being a mortal, but they're still women, and we would use she with either one. So when you say she weaves skillfully, we do not know who do we mean. Do we mean Arachne or do we mean Athena? So in the first one, it is referring to myth. That is clear and good. In the second one, we don't know who she is referring to. It could be either Arachne or Athena. So this is poor use of a pronoun. We should rewrite this more clearly to either include the name Athena or Arachne weaves skillfully or rewrite it altogether. Additionally, as I said earlier, pronouns must agree in number, which is just singular or plural. So when we say number, we mean is it singular or is it plural? And gender, okay, meaning male, female, or neutral. So the bystanders see Athena, they watch her at the loom. Okay, so here they refers to bystanders, which is plural. Okay, they is plural, bystanders plural, both plural. And her refers to Athena, both are singular and feminine. Okay, so you have to choose the right pronoun. Possessive pronouns. So possessive pronoun is a form of personal pronouns. The personal pronoun is owning, has something else. Okay, and so it typically takes the place of a possessive noun. So, for example, they fall into one of two groups. One group is used before a noun. Homer's story is famous. His story is famous. Okay, so his being the possessive pronoun, taking the place of Homer's, is coming right in front of the noun that is being owned. A fable is a brief tale. Its characters are often animals. Its here is referring to fable and is coming right in front of characters, which is the thing that's possessed or owned. The other group stands alone. It is literally taking the place of both the possessive noun and the noun that's being owned. So this story is Homer's. This story is his. So in this case, his is referring to Homer's story. Okay. John has a book. The book is mine. Okay, so when I say mine, I mean my book. The book is my book. We don't want to repeat book, so we're just going to say mine. Okay, and it's referring to both my and book then. And here's your chart. Okay, so when we have the noun immediately after it, my, something, your, his, her, its, our, your, and their. So in all of these cases, right, we would have to have a noun that follows it. Their car, your house, our homework, something like that. If they're being used alone and replacing both the possessive noun and the noun that's owned, then it's mine, yours, with an S on the end, his, her, its. Okay, so you'll notice his and its are exactly the same. Hers is the only one that has the S on the end. And then ours, yours, and theirs. Okay. Okay, so one last note on possessive nouns. Possessive nouns don't use apostrophes. Do not confuse its without the apostrophe, which is possessive, with its, with the apostrophe, which is a contraction of it is. So, an example, the dog went swimming. Its tail is wet and muddy. Its here is referring to dog. It's possessive. Its tail. Tail is being owned by the dog. No apostrophe. The dog went swimming. It's wet and muddy. Here, okay, it is wet and muddy, meaning the dog is wet and muddy versus the tail is wet and muddy. So those are different. They don't mean the same thing, okay?